Shazam, baby! I'm back! And I'm here to talk to you about, the goddess of love! That's right, motherfucker. It's episode 9 of Theological Brodex. You have waited, and I have returned for a video on the most beautiful, the most passionate, the most bitchy. We're talking Cinder, the goddess of love, who will strike you down if you so much as look at her wrong. But that's not entirely accurate. She won't strike you down. She'll strike your son down and fuck with you. Then she'll have your dick fall off. And then when you go to try to kill yourself, turns out you're invulnerable. You gotta live. You walk around and then you look horrifically ugly. And the only thing you can do to survive is to eat children. But you can't die. So now you're just a monster who's just gonna, if you have any moral compass, all you're gonna do is curl up in the corner of a room going, for eternity because you're just in horrific pain because you're not eating any children. That's what Cinder does to a man. That's what Cinder does to a man who so insults her, or a woman. Cinder doesn't give a fuck. She'll fuck with anyone. And she'll fuck anyone too. As long as they're not ugly. Disgusting. Now that's right. You know, Cinder, she does not tolerate the uggos. She does not tolerate those wart-faced, grimy-mouthed goblins walking around who don't have nice clothes, who don't comb their hair, who don't look good. She doesn't tolerate that. And neither should you. When you see an ugly person, you should spit on them. I'm not joking. This is not ironic. It's a good thing to be hateful and cruel towards uggos. But anyway, getting serious here into Cinder. Cinder is a real fun goddess, just an absolute bitch, but in the best way possible. Um, just a real see you next Tuesday. Uh, so with that in mind, uh, uh, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So I always start with the facts. So starting off the gate, Cinder is a goddess. She is the child of two elder creators, the coming together of two elemental forces. You got Morgul and Opiate. Now I personally look at the dream divinities a bit differently than a lot of the other divinities. Like you look at the Lex, who's Tuhul and Damar. Like Tuhul and Damar fucked. Like maybe not in the same way that like we would as humans, but they fucked each other and made the Lex. With the dream divinities, I don't see Opiate just clapping cheeks with fucking Morgul and Damar and all that. With the dream divinities, I see Opiate taking the essence that it finds inspiring, that it finds interesting, if you will, from these divinities, these elemental forces, and weaving its own essence in there, and creating something through an actual creative process, like sewing or designing, and creating something that it finds to be a more palatable version of that elder creator. We already talked about Mool. We know that Opiate doesn't like Tuhul. Opiate finds Tuhul boring and bland. But what is something of death and of the underworld that that Opiate can find intriguing? Why, it's that violent rage of Mool. So we look at Cinder. So Opiate made her from the essence of moral. Or you can, maybe in your canon, Opiate got that hot, fiery Morgul fired up, and the two of them just and made Cinder through sexual means. But I prefer not to do that for the dream divinities. Um, so what does that mean? Well, she's got the essence of dream, of the astral, mixed with fire. So she's got creativity and fire put together in heat. Now some of her dominions, some very nice sounding dominions, if you don't think too deeply, are love, beauty, passion. But if you do think deeply, what do people do for love? You ever heard the saying, the things I do for love? People do some pretty fucked up shit for the sake of love and beauty. I mean, if you take it a certain way, that can get pretty shallow. You know, literally, Cinder thinks more attractive people are better people simply for being, just for dint of being more attractive. And then passion. I mean, that's pretty easy to understand how that could get fucked up really fast. I, um, I, I mean, just imagine that tension of romance building up, and this man who loves this woman and wants to be with her. This say, this let's say Kitsune man loves this beautiful frame woman, but she's married and she would never have him. And he says, "God damn it, I can't take it anymore!" And he kills someone and goes on this rampage. And "You're gonna be with me or no one at all, bitch!" And just absolutely snaps. And that's an extreme example, but there are more mild examples of where passion can easily drive one, particularly one of fey blood, to dark, uh, dark places. Um, but she's got other dominions that are dark in a more upfront way. She's the goddess of disgust. Being disgusted by things brings her power. Think about that. It is a moral good in Cinder's eyes to look at something you don't like and go, "Oh my God! Oh, that's disgusting." Imagine if people were like going around like seeing like a homeless dude on the street and going, "Ugh." But then they viewed that as like they were a good person for doing that. That's a Cinderian. And she's also goddess of wealth, ostentatiousness, opulence, all that. Well, some of that might be year off. I don't quite remember, but she's goddess of art, of music, of a lot of fantastic things, and she's this creative, majestic goddess. She is the goddess of beauty. No one is more beautiful than Cinder. You're not Cinder. No one's more beautiful than you. Okay, I said it. And she loves it when people are obsessed with her for that fact. She's also the goddess of obsession. But I'm getting into the realm of commentary, so let's stick with the facts for now. Her dogma teaches people to be passionate, to seek out and create beauty, to aid the cause of love, but it also teaches them to be vain. She's the goddess of vanity, and it teaches them to be arrogant and to hold themselves up on a pedestal above all others with only Cinder above them. Her dogma teaches to accumulate wealth and to give money to the church. It teaches to create and patron art. Uh, um, she views ugliness. She views unfaithfulness to someone you have promised your heart to. She views unwillingness to engage in love and romance. All of these things she views as sins. To insult her or to mock her or to show humility to any except her are all sinful acts indeed. She is the queen of the court of freedom. She is, the way I see it, probably one of the two most powerful goddesses in Kvegthail. At least top five. Because she commands the Court of Freedom. Now, the way she runs the Court of Freedom, Cinder, although just as narcissistic, if not more so than Helena, just as desiring to be the one obsessed over, Cinder is a little bit more tolerant in how this obsession comes about. And so she allows her enemies in the court. She knows Elsan is plotting to kill her. She knows Kaihea doesn't completely like her, though they do get along. She finds Sand disgusting and filthy. She knows there are members of the Court of Freedom who don't like her, but guess what? She loves that shit. Except for in the case of Sand. In the case of Sand, it's kind of like having Sand's like her whipping girl. Like she can be like, look at that disgusting fat little bitch. Point and laugh. But Elsam, Cinder has there because she just loves it. She's just like, oh, you hate me, don't you, Elsam? Oh, you hate me. If any of you have ever seen Step Brothers, there's a scene where one of the characters' actual brother is going, you want to punch me in the face. You want to punch me in the face, don't you? Go ahead. Punch me in the fucking face. That's Cinder to Elsan. Go ahead, Elsan. Do it. Punch me in the fucking face, Elsan. I know you want to. But still, she also has many in the Court of Freedom who fawn over her, utterly in love with her. Laku, the god of truth and romance, is married to Cinder. You got fucking even the impossible to pin down Credera is like, yeah, she's cute. So she is well beloved in her court, and she commands great power in that court, even though she has enemies in that court, and she commands great respect among the other courts. Half the members of the Court of Order want to fuck her, and a bunch of them love her. Phoenix loves Cinder. She's in the Court of Order. Cureleaf. Cureleaf is the biggest fucking simp in Kvegthail. Cinder still won't fuck him, but he's still going out there and fighting Mool for my lady's honor and getting his back broken on a mountain by the god of rage. And you got frickin' I mean, it doesn't say it explicitly in the book, but we all know Pelgan wants that pussy. Of course he does. The Elder Creators all fucked her, except Mithraxu. Tahul had sex with Cinder. Think about that. The divinity of death, not even just the divinity of death, death itself found Cinder attractive enough to have sex with her. Ahriman fucked her! Although that's actually a little more believable because of how disgusted Cinder is by certain things. Ahriman kind of likes that wanting things to be destroyed. So, she's fire and dream, various dominions of passion, art, beauty, love, disgust, vanity, all that desire. She is the queen of freedom, and she is the goddess of freedom. That's very important. And she rules over this bickering court. Not everyone is on fair terms. And sorry, just a moment. I am sorry. And she is well beloved by many divinities outside of that court. And disliked by quite a few as well. And she kicked Mool out of the Court of Freedom. She kicked Raxol out of the Court of Freedom. Helena hates her. Galma don't like her. That's for sure. El Sam fucking hates her. And her churches are wealthy and powerful. I like the idea that you've got sort of these two, honestly, pretty evil forces of these goddesses establishing great power bases in cities. You've got like Helena over here commanding with propaganda, and then you have the wealthy Temple of Cinder getting elites and beautiful people and low level aristocrats, and even some poor people who've got maybe a little bit of money on her side. And it's like evil versus evil, the super tyrannical bitch that wants to control everyone, or the sexy, passionate, capricious, selfish bitch who just wants to do whatever the fuck she wants. It's two bitches walk into an iron cage. Only one bitch will leave. Who will it be? And honestly, I like both the goddesses. I personally like Cinder more. I also think when the conflict comes, Cinder's gonna win. Because what is more powerful than, yeah, Helena's got her command. People are afraid of her. She's got a few really loyal subjects. But what are you gonna do when you're aligned against Cureleaf, Lacoon? So first of all, almost the entire Court of Freedom. So let's just get that right off the gate. And then also Cureleaf, Phoenix, um, I think no, Pelican might join Cinder because of Shy. So Cinder, she's got an angle. She can work on Helena. That's why Helena allows the churches of Cinder to persist in cities and things like that. Like, what can the Church of Helena do? It would start a riot if they acted against the Church of Cinder. Um, but they hate each other so fucking much. Cinder puts up with Helena too because fucking taxes. Come on. I want to at least be somewhat on their good side so they don't just increase that shit. Like I said, Cinder would, in my opinion, probably win, but that's no guarantee. So it's this weird mutually assured destruction sort of thing. Yeah, so we're now kind of getting into more commentary. So let's talk about what Cinder's agenda is. Cinder, generally the way I see it, does not have an end goal that she's super committed to. She has a few end goals that she plays with that she's interested in. She likes to patron certain divinities' goals for a while. Right now, she's patroning Laku's goal of a better world ruled by truth and romance, where there's good balance between war and peace, and where the righteous are rewarded and the wicked and the liars are brought down. But on the side, she's also certainly feeding into Fatash's goal of just fucking shit up. And she is certainly playing into Morgul's goal of delving the whole world into fire. She finds many different goals and ideas to be very interesting. And she sort of touches on them and feeds into them. But for her personally, what she wants things of beauty to rise up, and she wants to be entertained. She's quite like Cretera in this way, except unlike Cretera, she wants the entertainment to be referential and to be reverent towards her. She wants everyone to care about her. She wants people to be obsessed with her. She wants people to hate her, and then for those people to be struck down. She wants people to love her and plead and beg, and she'll give them a little bit just to keep it going. She wants to be the center of attention. She wants to control people and use them and play games with people. That's fun for her. So she's not so much focused on her end goal, which the closest thing to a committed end goal Cinder has is a world that's truly free. And by that, where I mean where she's truly free. She does care about the freedom of mortals to a degree. She doesn't support slavery. She doesn't support imprisonment. She would much rather you just ruin the life of someone who wronged you than, imprison them or use some sort of strict rules to figure it out. Um, yeah, so she does want a world of freedom, a world of beauty, which is where she aligns with Opiate. Honestly, I could see Cinder saying, "Yeah, let the fleshlands burn for Morgul, and then I'm gonna go into the Dreamlands where everything's beautiful and be there forever." That could certainly be an end goal. And she wants to pit people against each other. She wants to fuck with people. She's not as spiteful as Elsan, but there is certainly a little bit of spite to Cinder as well. So keep that in mind when she's interacting with mortals. Cinder is actually a really great goddess to have play into an adventure game. Because she's going to throw down plot hooks and she's going to put things in the path of the adventurers just for the fuck of it, just to be entertained. Just, oh, what if now they had this enemy that they had to fight who's really powerful, and one of them had to break their moral compass to defeat him. Oh, that would be, oh, I wonder what would happen. Ooh, the lives of mortals. It's like a TV show to Cinder. She gets maybe invested sometimes, but she's not really invested. You watch a TV show, you watch an anime or a pro wrestling or any sort of TV show at all. You may think you care about the characters, but you don't really. When a character you liked in Breaking Bad dies, that's not like that doesn't actually hit you unless you have a really like unless you have a mental health problem. But like if a character you really like dies in Breaking Bad, you're like, even if you cry, even if you're like kind of a bitch and you cry, you're not like, it doesn't feel like you lost a loved one. And the same is true with Cinder. She looks down at mortals having their adventures and their battles and telling their stories. And yeah, she may say, "Oh, King Bram is such an interesting character. I really hope things go well for him." But if they don't, if King Bram dies, she's not going to be like, "No, I fucking love King. No, fuck!" No, she's going to be like, "No, oh, King Bram. Oh, they got King Bram. Oh, I didn't know it was going to go in that direction." The worst case scenario, the only reason she would be mad about something like that is if it doesn't make for an interesting story. Like if King Bram went to take a shit and he died on the shitter, she'd be like looking like, "Somebody revive him. This is bullshit. That's terrible writing." It'd be like if like Hank in Breaking Bad, if he was like, "I am the one who," oh shit, and he like slipped and hit his head on a counter and died. Like you would be like, "That was stupid." Like, so that's her view on mortals, and that's how she's gonna interact with them. And Cinder, generally in games, Cinder should not appear to mortals. But if she does, it should be one of the most important scenes in the game, even more so than other gods. Because here's the thing. Cinder, first of all, she's probably not going to show herself to your players in her true form. Because if she does, and your players are good role players, that's it for them. They all now are obsessed with Cinder and want Cinder's titties and are just completely dedicated to that incredible goddess of beauty, unless they have some sort of mental effect somehow protecting them. So she's going to dial it back a bit, which is part of the reason why she really hates everyone, why she disrespects everyone, even the people she loves. She loves Laku, but she disrespects him because she has to dial it back to even be able to work with people. They're that weak. People's she doesn't see others' emotions as real because she can just play with them all she wants. It doesn't matter. She can make them hate. She can make them love. She can do whatever she wants with your emotions, and you're powerless to stop it. Laku is powerless to stop it. Frickin' very few divinities have much power to protect themselves against Cinder's wily manipulations. So she doesn't see him as real. And she especially doesn't see mortal emotions or mortals as real. But anyway, so if she does show up, she's going to dial it back. But even if she dials it back, it should be insane. You're looking at something way beyond what you can comprehend in beauty. It's like think of scale of 1 to 10 and then literally a 100, no hyperbole. And that's with her dialing it back. It's going to be in your dreams for the rest of your life. You're going to see her when you close your eyes. And this is even, again, this is her dialing it back. This is without you completely shattering and becoming a mind slave to her. It's gonna be a big deal. And it should be played up that way if it does happen. But I think it's much better for her to show herself in dreams, taking the forms of things that her followers or whoever she's appearing to find most beautiful, such as beautiful women. Usually will be a woman, though she might take the form of a beautiful man in a certain individual's dreams. Glorious statues. She may appear to you as a landscape. You may dream and you may see a glorious, fantastic oasis in the middle of a tundra. Maybe something weird, like not an oasis in a desert, no, in a tundra. And it's just beautiful, gorgeous, and there's snow, there's beautiful flowers and plants, and it's incredible. And and it doesn't make any sense. And you hear from this oasis, you hear like, "My servant, my faithful, you have quested long and far to find my gifts, and so I shall give you but a taste. But there shall be another quest you carry out for me once you receive this taste." And you're like, oh, fuck. Or she'll send her muses, which in my canon are the children between Cinder and Opiate. And her muses will come down. Oh, fucking land. They're beautiful. They're gorgeous. They're speaking to you, inspiring you towards beauty and to play their games and to mess with their rival muses. It's a whole sort of little high school political thing going on within the hierarchy of Cinder's spirits, except a lot more deadly. Uh, Imagine how high school politics were when you were in high school. If like people killed each other over that shit, and that's Cinderian politics within the church and within the spiritual hierarchy. Um, but I also want to think about how her parents affect her, how the elements of of Morgul and Opiate affect who Cinder is. So you have dream and fire, you have astral, and you have circle. You have the ring of fire, and then you have the astral realm. Cinder takes the creativity, the imagination of Opiate and dials it up to 11. She's the goddess of art, beauty, all that. And then she takes the flame and the heat of Morgul and the desire for a certain form of purity. And she turns that up to 11. And when you put them together, you have that passion. You have those burning emotions. Take the emotion that comes from Opiate and then light them on fire within you. And that is how she feels her joys burn and crackle. Her rage, whoosh, goes up into a great flame. Her sadness is like a hot coal. And her love, Cinder's love, though it is rare that you can ever receive it, only Laku and the elder creators and perhaps a few others have received even fragmented versions of it, but her love is the purest of all. It is a great, all-consuming flame that has been rendered to but an ember due to her inability to respect others in any fashion, due to her extreme narcissism, which has choked and suffocated the fire of the goddess of love's love. Also, uh, sort of the disgusted nature of Cinder plays into this. The sort of artistic, emotional aspect of Dream mixed with that destructive aspect of Flame to take the things you do not like and to destroy them is the way of Cinder. But moving on from that, uh, thinking about her church and the way that's going to play into role playing games when you go out and you adventure, or when you're playing a political game and there's a Temple of Cinder there. It's all about personal politics. It's not that Cinder's temples are apolitical. They're the farthest thing from it. But their politics have very little to do with ideology or philosophy or end goals. Their politics have almost entirely to do with personal stuff, with respect shown, insults given, wanting to fuck this person over, wanting to screw this person over, wanting to help this person, ostracize this person, bring this person into the fold. All is a sort of game. It's a game to them. They want wealth. They want power, but only so that they can play that game. Now they're not Creteranians. They're vain. They're arrogant. They wanna play a game, but they want to win that game. They don't want to lose, and they want to be adored and beloved, and they want people to revel in their glory. And so keep that in mind when you have adventurers coming into a town that has a Temple of Cinder, and they go to the Temple of Cinder, and those adventurers are gaining fame. Think about that, the jealousy that might come up, and the Temple of Cinder might come up and say, "Hey, you need a way to somehow bring us into this, or else we're going to curse you. So you need to somehow find a way to take your fame and make it go over to us." And now the adventurers have a difficult situation. Or in a political game, Temple of Cinder in the community, you better be showing them some respect. You better be aiding them in some way, or your community's culture, art, all that is going to be fucked over. So keep that all in mind. Uh, sorry, I have a bad headache. Now, as for uh, Cinderian, oh my goodness. As for Cinderian protagonists, I think I have a brain tumor and I'm just losing intelligence by the second. As for Cinderians as protagonists, you can kind of think of it in a very personal way. Keep in mind, Cinder is very broad. Yeah, she's a bitch, she's vain, she's arrogant, she's disgusted by people, she has all these traits, but a Cinderian protagonist can be played pretty well as a face, as a goody goody, and this beautiful hero who fights for freedom, who's kind to people, who stands up. I mean, yeah, when you come across something ugly, disgusting, you gotta play that up too, of like, oh, this terrible creature. Oh, no, fuck you. But you can kind of play it up as a face. You can play that fun, goodly, warrior for freedom and beauty and love. Or you can play a more complicated protagonist. And you can play that Cinderian up. He's vain. He's selfish. He looks down on people. He's a narcissist. He's lustful. Fucking mad bitches. And leaving a trail of broken hearts. Uh, but he's still saving the day. He's still standing up, or maybe not. Maybe he's a bad guy. Maybe he's a bad person, but he's an evil protagonist, and he is engaged in acts that the audience can cheer upon, but he's not. necessarily doing good things, or she, and Cinderian protagonists lend themselves very well to political games. Play a manipulative, frickin' Arad priestess of Cinder wishing to build herself a cult of personality. Play a devout ogre Cinderian. Not even a cleric, just a devout ogre worshiper of Cinder who's got some political power, and see how he brings down the hammer on those that he is disgusted by. You can work a lot of angles here. Kalfars, Kitsunes, Satyrs, lots of shit. Um, but Cinderian antagonists can also be very interesting because they can ruin your life, and Cinder especially can ruin your life. If you have Cinder as the antagonist of your game, you're running a horror game. They're not going to defeat her, or at least probably not. I mean, they could. Theoretically, they could find a way. At least they can defeat aspects of the Church of Cinder. I'm not saying you should run a game where the entire thing is just your players getting shit on, like in that I have no mouth but I must scream story. I'm not, don't run a game like that. But if you're running a game with Cinder as the antagonist, she probably wins at the end of the saga. And by win, I don't mean she kills the player characters. I mean the torture just becomes too much. Their minds pop after everything she does to them. They just fall into depression. They become manic. Uh, and you can certainly run that route if you want to run a really weird sort of psychological horror game where the horror is just this divinity of beauty coming down on you. Or if you want to use her more distant, if you don't want to use it as in depth in that way, it can simply be, a sort of, her church and these vain worshippers doing these terrible things. And then the heroes come in and we clash with them in these ways. And it can be a more kind of straightforward, action-packed style rather than horror. But her clerics and her followers make for very, very, very good antagonists because they make shit personal. They will come after your children, your husband, your wife. They'll come after you, but they'll do it subtly. They'll discredit you. They'll make you lose face. They'll make you lose money. They'll make you lose your job. They'll come at you with the cancel culture mob, but in Kvagthale. They'll come out. This ogre said this about this. Kalfar, wealthy Kalfar princess, and so we need to run him out of town. And it's just something he said while drunk. Some merchant princess is a bitch, and he said it out loud, and now his life is ruined. And that can be a great angle to play up just these really petty villains. But Cinderians, in my opinion, work best as a background force. Not as in they don't work well as those other things. They should absolutely be those other things. But they work really, really good as this sort of like you go into a community and you've got a Temple of Cinder there. You have Cinderians in the community and they affect the way the community runs and they affect the way you have to work in the community as an adventurer or in your town or in your city as a political figure. It becomes one more sort of piece, one more tool in the FT's toolbox of interesting events happening, festivals, parties, going to these clerics. They're probably going to be the most likely to do mysticism for, randos. Those randos are good looking enough and if they have something to offer. Go to the Church of Cinder, you hunting this great beast. You want a mighty enchanted sword, and you hear that they may be able to, through great ritual, through great work, they may be able to craft and pray to Cinder and bring to you the sword that you need to slay this great demonic beast. And there's going to be work involved. You're going to have to do shit for them. I So there's a lot of intrigue you can work in there, And you can have Cinderians be protagonists and antagonists in the same game. You can have the whole basis of a game could be Cinderians versus Cinderians, and it would work just fine. It would take very little extra work. Of course, every saga takes a lot of work, but it would take very little extra work. Um, so yeah, you've got a lot of options that you can do with Cinder. She's a very powerful goddess. She works very subtly, and she can be very destructive. She can be very cruel, but she can also aid players. You can play her up as a face. You can play her up as a heel. You can do both at the same time. You can do a lot of really intriguing stuff with Cinder. Yeah, this video has gone on for about 40 minutes, so I think I'm going to end it here. Enjoy your day, and praise be to the goddess of love.